The house sat quiet at the end of Maple Street. Paint peeling. Porch light flickering. It smelled like wet leaves and old wood. Inside, a clock ticked too loud. Every second felt like it was watching me. Emily Carter was loved here once. Photos on the wall proved it. Her smile froze behind dusty glass. Her eyes followed you down the hallway. She trusted people. That was her first mistake. Neighbors said she was kind. Always waiting. Always helping. On the night she died, the rain came early. Soft at first. Then angry. Emily stood at her kitchen sink. Warm water on her hands. Cold dread in her chest. She heard a sound behind her. Not loud. Just wrong. Her heart sped up. She told herself it was nothing. It never is. The back door creaked. Slow. Careful. Someone knew this house. Her breath caught. She reached for her phone. No signal. Her palms were wet. Footsteps moved across the tile. Heavy. Confident. A shadow stretched across the wall. She whispered a name. No answer. The air smelled like rain and metal. Fear has a taste. Bitter. A voice spoke behind her. Low. Familiar. You weren't supposed to be home. Her knees shook. Memories rushed in. Promises. Arguments. She turned slowly. His eyes were flat. No love left there. Only decision. Her mind screamed to run. Her body froze. He stepped closer. The clock kept ticking. Louder now. She thought of her mother. Of Sunday dinners. Of forgiveness. I won't tell, she said. Her voice cracked. He didn't blink. The knife caught the light. Just for a second. That second lasted forever. Neighbors later said they heard nothing. Rain covered the sound. Rain hides a lot. When police arrived, the house felt empty. Too empty. Emily lay on the floor. Cold tile against warm blood. Her eyes open. Still asking why. Detectives walked slowly. Boots sticking to the floor. A photo frame was face down. Cracked. Someone had tried to erase her smile. There were no signs of forced entry. No struggle at first glance. That bothered them. People don't let killers in unless they trust them. Or love them. The murder weapon was missing. So was something else. A truth no one wanted to say out loud. The kind that lives in families. In relationships. In secrets. Down the street, a porch light clicked off. A curtain moved. Someone was watching. Someone who knew more than they said. And somewhere nearby, a man washed blood from his hands. The water ran red. Then clear. But the shaking didn't stop. Not yet. The sink rattled as he leaned on it. His reflection wouldn't hold still. Hands clean. Conscience loud. The smell of soap mixed with iron. He scrubbed harder. Skin burned. Still felt dirty. A siren wailed far away. Not for him. Not yet. He told himself that. Over and over. Across town, detectives sat in the living room. Lights low. Air heavy with questions. One officer stared at the wall photos. Same man in too many frames. Smiling. Protective. Close. Too close. She knew him, the detective said. Not a question. A fact settling into place. Another officer checked the back door. No damage. Trust leaves no bruises. Except where you can't see. Emily's phone buzzed on the counter. A missed call. 10 minutes before she died. From a number already saved. A name crossed out in the contact list. Deleted. But not forgotten. The detective felt it in his gut. This wasn't rage. This was planned. Back in the bathroom, the man sat on the tub edge. Head in his hands. Breathing fast. He heard her voice. Soft. Confused, he shook his head. "Stop," he whispered. The mirror didn't listen. Police lights flashed through a neighbor's window. Red, blue, truth colors. Someone stepped back from the glass. Heart pounding. They had seen him leave. They had seen the knife wrapped in a towel. Fear is loyal until it isn't. A phone vibrated in the dark. Unknown caller. The man stared at it. Sweat rolled down his neck. He didn't answer. The call went to voicemail. A message waited. One sentence. "We know you were there." His chest tightened. Outside, rain started again. Soft. Persistent. Washing nothing away. Inside the evidence room, Emily's necklace lay on a metal tray. Broken clasp. Pulled off in a moment of hope. Or resistance. The detective closed the file halfway. Not finished. Not even close. Somewhere between guilt and fear, the truth was breathing. And it was about to come out. The rain pressed harder against the streets. Like it wanted answers too. The man paced the living room. Bare feet on cold wood. Every sound felt louder now. A car passing. A dog barking. He flinched at each one. He replayed the moment again. The turn. The light. The choice. He told himself it was an accident. Accidents don't whisper warnings. Across town, the detective listened to the voicemail. Short. Controlled. Fear hiding behind confidence. He rewound it once. Then again. "That voice," he said quietly. "I know it." Emily's mother sat alone at her kitchen table. Hands wrapped around the cold mug. She hadn't slept. A knock echoed in her head that never came. Grief has weight. It presses on the chest. It steals air. Back at the house, crime scene tape fluttered. Yellow against gray sky. A neighbor finally spoke. Voice shaking. "I saw someone leave." The detective leaned in. "Who?" The neighbor swallowed. A name rested on their tongue. Heavy. Dangerous. Elsewhere, the man opened a drawer. Inside, the knife waited. Wrapped tight. Silent. He stared at it. His phone buzzed again. This time, a text. One word. "Confess." His hands trembled. He imagined the cell. The walls. Emily's eyes. He dropped the phone. It cracked on the floor. Outside, footsteps approached his door. Slow. Deliberate. A shadow passed the window. His breath stopped. The knocking began. The knock was firm. Not rushed. Authority has its own rhythm. He backed away from the door. Heart slamming. The room felt smaller. Air thick. "Police!" a voice called. Calm. Certain. He looked at the knife. Then at his hands. Still shaking. The knock came again. Louder. Across the street, a curtain lifted. Eyes watching. Waiting. Inside the hallway, the detective stood still. Listening. He could hear breathing on the other side. Fast. Uneven. Fear always gives itself away. "Open the door," the detective said. "We just want to talk." No one moved. A floorboard creaked inside. A mistake. The detective's jaw tightened. He nodded to his partner. Somewhere in the house, a drawer slid shut. Metal clinked softly. Too softly. The man pressed his forehead to the wall. Cold paint. Cold truth. He thought of running. There was nowhere to go. Outside, a radio crackled. Backup was close. Time was shrinking. Emily's face flashed in his mind. Not screaming. Just disappointed. The door handle turned. Slow. From the inside. The lock clicked halfway. And stopped. The handle trembled. Sweat dripped onto the floor. His fingers slipped. Outside, the detective waited. Patience sharp as a blade. Say her name, he said. Silence answered. The lock clicked again, this time louder. A choice breaking open. Inside, the man whispered a prayer. Not for forgiveness. For escape. The door opened a crack. Light cut through darkness. The detective saw his eyes. Red. Cornered. A sudden movement inside. Too fast. A hand disappeared behind the door. Metal flashed. Someone shouted. A gun came up. The moment stretched thin. Breath held on both sides. Rain pounding like a heartbeat. And then, the hallway exploded with sound. A shout. A command. Drop it! The man's hand shook in the light. The knife hovered between choices. His eyes darted. Doorframe. Stairs. Nowhere. Rain thundered outside. Like the world holding its breath. The detective stepped closer. Slow. Careful. I know why you did it, he said. The words hit harder than cuffs. The man swallowed. Tears burned. You don't, he said. His voice broke. She was going to tell. The detective froze. That was enough. Too much. A neighbor gasped from across the street. Phones lifted. History recording itself. The man's grip loosened. Then tightened again. Sirens grew louder. Closing in. Emily's name echoed in his head. Not angry. Just asking. The knife dipped. Then rose. And in that fragile second, everything balanced on a single breath. The detective's finger tightened on the trigger. Not pulling. Not relaxing. Training fighting instinct. Don't, he said. One word. Heavy. The man laughed. Sharp. Broken. You think this ends with cuffs? His knuckles were white. The knife shook. Not with strength. With fear. Police lights painted the walls. Red guilt. Blue regret. The neighbor across the street started crying. They didn't know why. They just felt it. The man took a step back. Heel catching the edge of a rug. Balance slipping. His mind raced. Courtrooms. Headlines. Emily's mother. I loved her, he said. Too late words. The detective's voice softened. That's not love. The knife lowered an inch. Then another. Hope flickered. Danger never disappears quietly. A radio crackled. Suspect armed. The sound snapped something inside him. He looked past the detective. Toward the open street. Toward the dark. His breath came fast. Chest heaving. Decision burning behind his eyes. And just as he shifted his weight, everything began to move at once. The rug slid. A foot slipped. Someone yelled his name. Too late. The knife arced upward. Not aimed. Not controlled. Pure panic. The detective lunged. Muscle memory. No thought. The hallway shrank to noise and motion. A body slammed into the wall. Frame shattered. Glass rained down. Emily's smile hit the floor. The knife skidded away. Metal scraping wood. The man gasped. Air punched from his lungs. Hands clawing. Not fighting. Surviving. Outside, a gunshot echoed. From somewhere else? Or maybe not? No one was sure. Time fractured. The detective felt a warm sting on his arm. Didn't look. Couldn't. Backup flooded the house. Boots. Voices. Orders stacking over each other. Someone screamed for a medic. Someone else said, "We've got him." The man lay on the floor. Chest rising fast. Eyes wide. Alive. For now. He stared at the ceiling. At a crack shaped like a lightning bolt. He started to speak. Then stopped. His mouth closed tight. Outside, the rain finally slowed. But inside that house, nothing felt finished. The medic knelt beside him, gloved hands steady, pulse racing under skin. "Stay with me," she said. He laughed again, soft this time, almost relieved. "I am," he whispered, too calm. Cuffs snapped closed around his wrists. Metal biting bone. The detective finally looked at his arm. Blood soaked through his sleeve. Not deep. Enough to remember. "Bag the knife," he ordered. Evidence markers bloomed across the floor. Numbers replacing memories. A rookie stared at the broken photo frame. Emily's face split in half. He looked away fast. "Some things don't belong to you yet." The man was lifted onto a stretcher. Straps pulled tight. No escape now. As they rolled him past the doorway, he met the detective's eyes. There was something there. Not regret. Not fear. Calculation. "You're missing it," he said quietly. The detective stopped. "What?" The man smiled. "Just enough. She didn't die for the reason you think." Rainwater dripped from the porch roof. Steady. Patient. The neighbor who had watched everything felt their stomach drop, because they remembered another night. Another argument. Another voice in that house. A second set of footsteps. Back inside, the detective stood alone, listening to the clock tick. Louder again, as if it had been waiting. The ticking crawled under his skin. The detective stared at the hallway. Too clean now. Too quiet. He replayed the man's words. Not the meaning. The confidence. Across the street, the neighbor sat down hard on the couch. Hands shaking. They reached for their phone. Then stopped. Some truths ruin more than one life. At the hospital, the man lay still. Monitors humming. Eyes open. Thinking. He asked for a lawyer. By name. That raised eyebrows. Back at the house, the detective knelt near the kitchen sink. A detail nagged him. 2 glasses. One untouched. One rinsed clean. Too clean. He smelled lemon soap. Fresh. Recent. Emily a company. The realization hit slow. Then hard. He stood up. Heart heavy. Who else knew the backdoor code? Who else had reason to panic? The clock kept ticking. In the evidence room, a tech paused. "Sir," she said, "you need to see this." The detective turned. On the screen was a voicemail. Time-stamped minutes before the murder. Emily's voice. Shaking. Saying someone else's name. Not his. The detective felt the room tilt. Outside, the rain stopped completely. And somewhere in the city, a second person realized the story wasn't over. The detective leaned closer to the screen. Emily's voice trembled. "I didn't mean to see it," she said. A breath. Sharp. "But I can't pretend anymore." The name followed. Clear. Deliberate. Not the man in cuffs. The room went still. Too still. A tech swallowed hard. "That number's blocked," she said. "Caller ID masked." The detective straightened. Cold spreading through his chest. At the hospital, the man smiled when the nurse left. Monitor steady. Pulse calm now. He closed his eyes. He hadn't lied. He had only let them choose the wrong truth. Across town, a light clicked on in a quiet apartment. Someone paced. Phone clutched tight. The news played low in the background. Murder. Arrest. Relief. Almost. Back on Maple Street, the clock finally stopped. Battery dead? Or pulled? The detective noticed the silence. He didn't like it. He picked up the broken photo frame. Emily's eyes stared back. Still asking why. Still waiting for the right answer. And somewhere very close, someone who hadn't been searched, hadn't been questioned, exhaled slowly. and started planning their next move. The exhale turned into motion. Keys grabbed. Shoes pulled on wrong. A door shut too fast. Tires hissed on wet pavement. Across the city, the detective traced the name again. It felt heavier now. Like it knew him. He checked the address. Too close. Too familiar. At the hospital, the man asked for water. Voice polite. Eyes sharp. He watched the door. Counting footsteps. Timing breaths. In the quiet apartment, a laptop opened. Files deleted. Messages erased. A hand paused over the keyboard. Shaking. Not from guilt. From urgency. Back at the precinct, the voicemail replayed. Emily's last courage filling the room. I trusted you, she said. The detective closed his eyes. He knew that voice. He knew where it came from. His phone buzzed. A text. Unknown number. One sentence. You're looking in the wrong place. Outside, sirens rose again. Not heading away. Heading closer. The detective grabbed his coat. Heart pounding now. Somewhere ahead. Someone was about to make a mistake. The mistake came quietly. A turn taken too fast. A light ignored. Metal screamed against metal somewhere downtown. The detective flinched. He didn't know why. Yet, at the apartment, a suitcase lay open on the bed. Clothes tossed in without order. A passport slipped from a drawer. Not new. Recently renewed. A phone rang. This one answered. Yes, a voice said. Too calm. I understand. At the hospital, the man watched the news update on a muted TV. The anchor spoke carefully. Words chosen. Incomplete. He smiled. Just barely. Back in the city streets, the detective drove faster than he should. Rain-slick asphalt reflected red lights. Every intersection felt like a question. Every shadow, an answer waiting. His phone buzzed again. Same number. New message. She figured it out? The detective's jaw clenched. He knew then. Not who pulled the knife. Who set it all in motion. Ahead, an apartment building glowed against the night. One window dark. One light still on. The detective parked hard. Door open. Gun drawn. Inside that building, someone checked the time. Closed the suitcase. And heard footsteps in the hallway. That were not part of the plan. The footsteps stopped outside the door. Not rushed. Not hesitant. Final. Inside, the suitcase stayed closed. There was nowhere left to go. The door opened on a breath. The detective stepped in. Eyes tired. Heart heavy. They looked at each other. No shouting. No running. Just truth, standing in the open. You used him, the detective said. The answer came with a nod. Emily's name hung between them. Like a bruise in the air. She wouldn't stay quiet, the voice replied. She never could. At the hospital, the man heard the news. His smile faded. The game was over. Sirens moved away this time. Slow. Certain. Days later, the house on Maple Street sat empty. For sale sign swaying gently. No flickering porch light. Emily's mother walked through one last time. She touched the wall by the kitchen sink. Closed her eyes. And breathed. The clock was gone. Silence remained. Not peaceful. But honest. Some stories don't end clean. They end true. And sometimes, that has to be enough.